All right, so these were our frequently asked questions for our assignment on tangent lines. This first problem, number 6, it asked us to find the value of x. Well, we do know that both of these lines here, they're tangent and they're going out to the same external point, which means we're going to make them congruent to each other. I'm going to set them equal to each other. 4x squared plus 5x is equal to 6. And I'm going to move it over, subtracting 6 from both sides. So I'm thinking that this problem, this was difficult for some of you because we forgot how to factor. 4x squared plus 5x minus 6 is equal to 0. So you're going to have to remember whatever factoring method it is that you learned back in algebra. I'm going to do the grouping one. So I want to know what numbers are going to multiply to negative 24 and add to 5. Negative 24 because of these guys right here. And then adding to my positive 5. And that's going to give me 8 and negative 3. So I'm going to rewrite this as 4x squared minus 6. And I'm going to replace this 5x using my two terms, my 8 and negative 3. So I'm going to get minus 8x minus 3x. All of this still equal to 0. And then I'm going to group these guys. So what can I take out of 4x squared minus 8x? That would be a 4x, and left-hand side is going to leave me with x plus 2. And for this guy over here, I can pull out a negative 3, and that's going to leave me with x plus 2. I want my inside guys to be the same, which they are. So my binomials are going to be 4x minus 3 and x plus 2 is equal to 0. And these guys here, I'm going to have two equations. 4x minus 3 is equal to 0, and x plus 2 is equal to 0. Adding 3 to both sides, 4x is equal to 3, which means x is equal to 3/4. And subtracting 2 from both sides, x is equal to negative 2. Because I have that negative in there, I want to double check that if I put a negative back into this guy here, because it's a distance, that I don't get a negative value for my distance. So making sure of that, I'm going to get 4 times negative 2 squared plus 5 times negative 2. Which is going to be 4 times 4 minus 10. 16 minus 10, which is 6. It's a positive value, so I'm okay. I have two answers here, 3/4 and negative 2. Next one. I want to find the value of x. Well, I know if my radius in my circle is 5, that means this length right here is also going to be 5. It's a radius. So I know this length here has to be 5. And I had that theorem saying that if it's coming out to the same external tangent, that they're going to be the same value. So I know this guy here is also going to be 5. This guy up here is x, which means he has to also be x. And then the 18 minus 5 means that this little part here has to be 13. So this guy also has to be 13. All right, so I have all those measurements. Now, how do I find the value of x? Well, they did tell me down here in my triangle that I have a right angle. So that's my clue that I'm probably going to have to use Pythagorean theorem. Setting this up, I'm going to have my side length here, which is x plus 5 squared plus this side, which is 18 squared, and that's going to be equal to my hypotenuse, which is x plus 13 squared. Foiling this, first outer inner last, I'm going to get x squared plus 10x plus 25, and then 18 squared is 324, and that is equal to x squared plus 26x plus 169. I'm going to subtract x squared from both sides, so those guys are going to go away. And I'm going to combine my 25 and my 324, which is going to give me 10x plus 349 is equal to 26x plus 169. I'm going to subtract 169 from both sides, and I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides. So 349 minus 169 is going to leave me with 180, and that is equal to 16x, which means x is equal to 11.25. Value of x. And number 10, this was probably one that I got the most questions on. They're telling you that you're 26 feet from a point of tangency. So right here, that's your point of tangency. So here's my center of my circle. Point of tangency, that is where, whoops, that's a straight line there. That is where you get your right angle. And because these are inside the circle, I know that these two here have to be my radius. So again, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem where this guy here is my hypotenuse. So setting this up, I'm going to get r squared plus 26 squared is equal to r plus 14 squared. R squared plus 676 is equal to r squared plus 28r plus 196. And subtracting r squared from both sides, I get 676 is equal to 28r plus 196. Subtracting 196 from both sides, I get 480 is equal to 28r, which means r is equal to 17.1 something in the calculator. I rounded it to 17.1. The question is asking us to find the volume of the tank. The tank they're telling us is a cylinder. So yeah, you probably did have to look up the volume of a cylinder in case we didn't know that. It's actually pi r squared times the height. So now we know what our r is. I'm going to have pi times my r of 17.1 squared times my height, which they told me is 10. Make sure you use your pi button, not 3.14, use the actual pi button. And when you do that, you should get approximately 9,186 feet. I also left in there, if you didn't round this guy and it was 17.14 something, whatever that one was, and you left that in your calculator and you squared it, times it by pi, and then times it by 10, your other answer would have been 9,232. So I accepted either one if you rounded or if you didn't, since I didn't really make it clear. All right, so let me know if you have other questions for tonight's assignment. Thanks.